now that the British and the Kievan Rus are at war, the entire world has been divided, and and the biggest war, or World War Ultra, has begun. Up, we're here now. It is episode 29, which means the world has officially fallen apart. So I have done a couple of things. I have actually marked out all the capitals of every country. Also, just before we start, a few last moment things. These guys, they're finally going to join the British because I forgot about them. I think that's it. These guys were neutral, and my micronation, the Byzantine, are the only ones that are allowed to stay neutral. I think that's everything. This island still hasn't been explored or colonized, so I guess the entirety of the world hasn't yet been colonized slash explored. Anyway, we are going to begin with me questioning who these guys are a part of. Oh yeah, they're not a part of anybody. So that is actually because there are still some very, very, very few like non-allied countries, and those countries they're gone. They're just gonna be gone. They're gonna die. They're gonna be out of here. These guys are one of them. They're a failed state. No one wants them. They are a modern day failed state. Yeah, they're gonna get invaded from every side because they're surrounded by these guys. Anyway, so beginning this war, the two are already at war, the British team and the Kievan team, and we're gonna begin. Oh god, we're gonna begin by Kievan Rus troops now rushing in and burning France's entire military. As they kind of push in, they're going to grab up a bunch of land. Now, the only two like real major states that are not involved at all are the red team and the that little thing in South America. They are the only ones that are not actually involved, except the two have very different courses. The red team, they're just there now. That other thing is going to get absolutely destroyed. But hey, let's stay calm. We're going to do this in Europe first. So Kievan Rus's troops are not actually expecting Flipperland in here. So Flipperland does see a lot of success. They get pretty far in, but then they stop and lock down their front line because they don't really have the resources to go any further. The Nordic Union, they do very well in cutting Norway off or the Norwegian Republic off, and very quickly the Norwegian Republic's capital is captured, leading to the collapse of the rest of the nation. And we have a First Nation that has officially collapsed. The Greeks, they are going to launch their own invasion of a lot of these countries alongside the Italians or the Romans. We're going to push back over here and then go in over here. Um, Second, we're going to look at the Asian continent, where this alliance hasn't actually been involved yet. Just remember that. So in the Asian continent, we have Stanstan doing pretty well over here for what they are worth now. However, everywhere else, Kievan troops quickly not only capture the capital, but they also move in and capture a large majority of Stanstan. And if Stanstan wasn't that patriotic, they would not be alive right now. They would have been capitulated or would have surrendered. Back over here, the Qing, they're going to try to find like a good way to do this. However, that's not going to happen as the Koreans quickly destroy the other Koreans, and the Qing are forced to lock down that front and focus on Central Asia where they have no interests. However, they are going to first invade some Manchurian regions because that is literally tradition at this point. So they're going to invade a large chunk of Manchuria, who had only joined this because the Kievan Rus are on their border now, and they were looking to join, but they wouldn't because Kievan Rus was so far away. So now that the Kievan Rus are here, the Manchurians finally learned that being so late to the alliance, they are one of the countries that the alliance leaders don't really care about. The Qing, meanwhile, they continue to push over here, capturing a large chunk of land right here, alongside the judicial capital of this country. The actual capitals, as you can see, are very symbolic with these three because they're all like showing how these three are linked to the Kievan Rus. As you can see, all their capitals are these little spikes that go inside of the Kievan Rus. That's the Kievan Rus taught that while making this, mostly so they don't collapse immediately. Who are these guys a part of? They are a part of the neutral thing. Same with these guys, actually. The blue team is going to actually do something. They are actually going to launch their own invasion of Indonesia island because remember, this is literally Somalia of our world. It's so many pirates. The capital of the rebellion is eventually crushed, which is what I marked because I don't know the actual capital. I just know the de facto capital, which is what I've marked everywhere. Actually, the de facto capitals. Some de facto capitals are real capitals, but that country in particular, their de facto capital is not their real capital. Real capital was over there. However, it's been burnt to nothing, so it's not really. Back over here, the Qing, they are now continuing their invasion, pushing down over here and then up over here and capturing a large majority of land. However, that is where they see their push come to an end, as the Mughals and the Kievan Rus very quickly put an end to Qing Tibet, because the Mughals, their people have knowledge of these lands, so they're easily able to traverse through the mountains, capturing large majorities of land. And the Kievan Rus, they have employed a bunch of missionaries that used to live in Tibet, so they also know a bunch of this land. But the Qing, they're using government troops who don't know about this land. So very quickly, we have the collapse of the Qing's Tibet, and they quickly move their front line back to just be able to live. And then yeah, that happens. So I think that's everything in Asia. Africa now. We're gonna revisit all these, don't you worry. But just for now, ish. So in Africa, we do have these guys launching the assault first. However, that assault is stopped almost immediately. As because remember, the alliance here, that's like the independent red team states, they're allied to France and Britain, who don't really, well, yeah, who are at war with these guys. So with this invasion happening, we have these states doing decently well. And these guys, the Libyans, they're going to quickly push over here and capture a large, or no, the Algerian rebels. Because remember, these rebels were the ones who actually were the first people to defeat the red team. Remember that. In the rest of the regions, the Gold Coast is going to absolutely demolish, as expected. As in just a few days, the Abuja Republic capital is captured, which is nowhere near Abuja. But in this world, that city is called Abuja. I don't think Abuja is even under control of the Abuja Republic's territories. Meanwhile, the Abyssinians, they're going to launch an invasion into the African Union that's going to do pretty well and get pretty close to the capital. However, it's going to be just short, as people are going to start thinking of switching sides. Meanwhile, the African Union gets wombo comboed over here by or not Madagascar, Mexico. No, why did I say Mexico? Mozambique. No, I don't. I'm tripping. Um, why are you a part of the British? You're not supposed to be a part of the British, but okay. No, wait, yeah, no, these guys aren't part of the. Are they? Oh no. Okay, well, I don't care. Oh yeah, no, I remember now. Yeah, no, because they hate the Kievan Rus who are allied with the. No, they hate the African Union. That's why they're a part of the British. Oh, that makes a lot more sense. Very quickly, this little thing over here is very quickly captured. And guys, stick around because this war is going to be really fun to play out. This might be a little longer than usual. Also, over here, well, I don't even know what to say. These guys just picked the wrong side. We actually do have now the British and the Americans and a bunch of other high-ranking allies already thinking of how they're going to divide these countries. So even if you really capture this land, it might not even go to you, which is a little sad. But after they capture this, the capital falls, leading to the collapse of the entire country. And very quickly, they disappear into the Shadow Realm. I just realized these guys also aren't a part of anyone. Same with Texas, except Texas is getting invaded. The Americans launch an invasion of Texas, who falls almost very, very fast, actually. Now, this is actually in collaboration with the Aztecs, who also launched their own invasion, and the two have already made a treaty on how to divide this land up, so it doesn't really matter who captures what. Meanwhile, after the capture of the capital by the Aztecs, the Texans, they surrender to the Aztecs, not to the Americans, giving the Aztecs all this land. Back over here, Colombian troops now begin to declare war on this South American Union thing, but also move into Britain and take a large majority of the British lands very fast. It is important to mention all South America has been explored, just not colonized. Over here, this thing is kind of invaded by the British, and then the South American thing, the capital is spearheaded and then captured by the British, leading to the already unstable country having multiple rebellions and eventually being conquered by many regional powers, not just one team. The Japanese, they grabbed up this part. It surrenders over to the Colombians. Everyone's just so split in this nation that they all are surrendering to different countries, which is one of the main problems with this entire nation. These guys also collapse. Over here, since these guys' borders are not based on defense, it's based on extraction, they very quickly begin losing land to the Gold Coast. And almost immediately, the Gold Coast is able to destroy the entirety of this nation. And it does look like the Kievan Rus are currently getting demolished in most of the regions, except, actually, yeah, almost everything except for Asia. So I think that's everything over here as well. So now we're gonna go into North America, where the Kievan Rus are actually going to begin their own invasion, and that's going to be through the strait, and they're going to capture a large chunk of the Alaskan regions of the British, and that is going to go extremely well for the Kievan Rus. They're going to capture a large amount of things. Eventually, they're going to stop over here, though, as they've gotten all that they really want, and it would be unwise to continue. However, the assault on mainland Britain is now inevitable as Kievan troops, they're going to continue coming over here. They're going to grab up all of this very quickly, and now they're going to kind of start begin destroying the entirety of the French. Meanwhile, they do run into the Alps, so a further invasion of Italy is not really wise, and so they pull out of Italy. But now, France, they're going to lose even more land, and they're going to discover a very shocking thing. as Spain is approached, the Moroccans themselves realize that this war is going to go nowhere, and so they kick the French out of this alliance thing that these guys have all made, and they also kick out the British from this thing. And with this, the French and the British are left alone to fight in the European front. As the Italians, they sign a little peace treaty, and everyone over here gets their land back. The Greek, they're actually invaded by the Red Team, and their capital falls, and so they're not actually going to live on. They're just going to stop existing. This is also the first time we've seen the Red Team do something since their collapse, so that's cool. Um, Over here, these guys aren't going to get the memo, and they're going to continue their invasion into Egypt. But now it's like more of a thing of regional stuff. So these guys, because of their invasion, are going to get wombo comboed by everybody, pushed back, and eventually we have the blue team now finally entering with their alliance. Now this is actually caused by the blue team. Their alliance, even though it plays itself as neutral, it was just waiting for everybody to get weak enough for it to completely demolish, and that's exactly what they did. Very quickly, they spearhead through this nation, capturing its capital and collapsing the entire purple team almost immediately after the invasion, which points out the first aspect of the blue team's invasion. They also invade the British alliance. They're not letting anybody slide, and that is almost immediately with the capture of these. All the tribal leaders are killed, leading to a very very quick war over here. And the blue team's basically like Napoleon. They need quick and slick victories because unlike the British and the Kievan they don't have the military might for this. Unfortunately, all that ends once they reach the Abuja Republic, where the rest of the nation is collapsed under the Gold Coast, who very quickly captures all this land. Over here, Abyssinia pulls out of the African Union, who pushes deep into a little bit of these lands, however, is pushed out. And thing is signed with the African Union, basically saying, all right, here's your land back, and we're just going to collapse the rest of Abyssinia. We are being chilling. Over here, these guys who are independent from the Red Team, so they should have been a part of the Mediterranean Red Team Alliance, but they're not Mediterranean, just like the Arabians. So they're going to push all the way over here, and they're not going to do so well. South Africa, they're going to get even more stuff over here. Eventually, Madagascar is going to invade, and they're going to capture all this land along the South African coastline, but they're also going to spread up into not only the Mozambique coastline, but also the African Union's occupied lands, which the African Union will not be getting back. With this huge invasion, the blue team also invades another member of the alliance that the Kievan had, the Kievan Alliance, and that is going to be these guys, who are almost immediately collapsed on the mainland. It does take a few more days. They're eventually collapsed and then surrender over here. Over here, these guys, they have no chance of this. They're going to almost immediately get collapsed right there. With the capture of their capital, they completely surrender because this island over here is inhabited mostly. And with this, these guys, these two, they're going to begin their invasion of the Mughals and the Chinese. The Mughals, they trusted the Abbasid Caliphate. No, not the Abbasid. These aren't the Achaemenids, so they're not going to have that many troops to protect their capital. And with this, the Achaemenid Empire releases their entire strength on the Chinese or the Qing, and they do pretty well. The Qing, they are forced to basically just focus on Manchuria because they don't have the strength to fight this many wars at the same time. And so after the capital is conquered, the entirety of Manchuria is wiped out off of the face of the earth. However, the Kievan Rus are not going to let this slide, and they're just going to, after the collapse of these guys as well, them and Nagasaki are going to do some stuff and basically decide they're not giving back the capitals or even the entire regions conquered by the Qing of all these random nations. So Kievan Rus, they're going to get down here, they're going to get up here as well, they're going to capture a large amount of land back. Over here, the Qing are going to slowly begin collapsing, as their front line is not really doing that well. Also, as you can see, the Kievan Rus actually do just use the land of their puppets now, because most of that land has been conquered by regional warlords or just the Qing. So they're going to begin their own invasions of all these rebellious states, but also eventually connect up over here and collapse the Qing front entirely, getting back a large amount of land. And this is where the Qing kind of begin to fall apart. Meanwhile, London is still untouched, which is kind of good, I guess. These guys up here, they're gonna actually just completely collapse to surrender over to the Kievan Rus because they do not want to get absolutely humiliated by Persia for a second time. The Persians, they actually do invade over here into the Caspian Republic, but not really that much, as they're more so focused on the Mughals, which they do very well, meeting up with the Abbasids around here. And with that, we have their blue team also beginning their invasion of Mughal, and Mughal are about to collapse. And eventually, they do surrender over to the Achaemenids, the rest of their land. So with this, back over in Africa, the situation does not look that good. These guys eventually just exit the war and surrender over to the Algerian rebels. With the exiting of Libya, we have these guys. They don't really know what to do. Meanwhile, the British now witness the collapse of their only ally that was left, that being the French, whose capital is captured and who are wiped out from the face of the earth. Over here, the Umayyads, as you can see, they still have this colony. So the Americans, they are going to invade, and they're going to quickly capture and destroy this. Cubans, they're also going to get invaded and absolutely violated, as they kind of get double teamed on over here. And the Aztecs are like, hey, chill, chill, chill. And the Americans, they don't want another war, so they're chilling. The British, meanwhile, they push up over here and capture all this land because the Aztec declaration of war onto, well, the Kievan Rus includes the Colombians, who they already kind of don't really like. And so, as the blue team invades this region of Nagasaki, we're going to find out that the Aztecs are going to do a freaking wombo combo again, and they are going to capture all of this land, and they are going to absolutely destroy it, spearhead the capital as well. And again, this was very unexpected by almost everybody for the blue team to actually get involved in this. And so, with the collapse of that, regional powers start to, well, do regional power stuff, and Venezuelan lands are quickly captured by the British, who set up a defense line over here. The Colombians do resist for a little bit before, well, the blue team begins to completely humiliate the Nagasaki Republic and eventually captures the entirety of this stuff, also capturing the capital of their puppet, and even enters into Colombia, or Gran Colombia. This was followed by the British launching their own further invasion of these lands, and eventually this puppet state, with no longer really having a capital, surrendering over to these guys. Don't know why they took the British land as well. Okay. These guys are Colombian right now so far. Back over here, the blue team continues their own invasion. Please continue your own invasion. Yes, they're gonna get all the way up here, and then they're going to set up their own defense line slash defense structure. It looks like the Colombians are about to get wiped out. The Kievan Rus back over here, they are going to begin their pushback and capture of Flipperland's capital, leading to Flipperland becoming dissected between the Kievan Rus and the Union, the Nordic Union. Over here, I think that's basically it for Africa. They have had enough of war. Same with over here. The Qing are on the verge of collapse. Actually, the Qing are going to collapse completely. As following this, we have the Qing not only losing Manchuria, but also getting insanely close to the Kievan Rus getting insanely close to taking the Qing's capital completely, which eventually they're going to do. That's just inevitable. The Kievan Rus also continue their invasion over here, capturing a bunch more cities, and the Qing are on the verge of collapse. As the Nagasaki, they're also going to begin their own sea invasion, capturing this little bay thing, but also capturing the island of Taiwan, the island of this thing, and making a spearhead up here and capturing all of this stuff. The Achaemenids, they're going to surround this and they're going to capture it because remember, they are still in control of a bunch of stuff. The Kievan Rus, they're going to take control of the front line over here because the Mongols themselves don't exist anymore. They're also going to continue their own invasion into the Qing, and they're going to capture another big chunk of land right here. Now, this is a giant like province that just kind of has had enough of the war and surrenders. What else is going to happen? This video has already almost approached half an hour. This might be a long one, I'm not going to lie. So let's end this up fast. The Qing, they are going to lose their capital and then surrender entirely, exiting the war and collapsing from within. I think that's pretty much it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me draw up a peace treaty. That's the war. Just one last time look at this map before I switch over to our peace treaty map. Quick, side by side. Well, yeah, side by side. And here is our new map. Starting in Asia, we have the Japanese annexation of Korea. These guys now actually form the Greater Pacific Union. The Pacific Union, that's their name now instead of Nagasaki, because they are literally the Pacific now. So they also got a chunk out of the Qing. Then the Qing over here, they themselves no longer exist. As you can see, they lost a gigantic chunk of land over to the Kievan Rus. And this thing, this new country exists, which is the kind of successor of the Qing, but it's under the Kievan. These guys are the Lesser Qing dynasty. These guys are Southern Qing. These guys are Western Qing, and these guys are Central Qing. This is Southern Tibet. This is still Tibet. The Persians grew, the Achaemenids grew, and the blue team grew a little bit over there. Over here, these guys still exist. However, they are now actually, well, one, they do end up joining not only the blue team's alliance, but also they are kind of under the blue team puppet, kind of, not really. I don't know. They're influenced, heavily influenced. Let's say that. Also, the blue team got back a bunch of Australia. Back over here, the nothing has changed in the Middle East except for Persia growing by a lot. And Africa, as you can see, Abyssinia has been demolished into East Abyssinia. No, sorry, West Abyssinia, and Abyssinia itself, both of whom are semi-government governed by the blue team itself, who's also grown and taken a chunk out of the purple team, who is also going to be a puppet state, kind of in a way. Their capital is also going to be extremely close to the blue team as well. The the Gold Coast, as you can see, they actually switched over their teams to the blue team, even though they fought alongside the Kievan Rus. But now they have switched and they have grown. Same, with not actually the same with South Africa. They have grown. Mozambique has grown. These guys have grown. Madagascar has grown a lot. You will notice one thing, and that is the lack of the British's alliance. Basically, after this war, they were forced to break up. I don't know why this hasn't been filled in. Oh yeah, and speaking of filled in, the Flipperland is now gone completely. It was a nice run, but they have exited this cruel world. Or well, cruel world is what the British would say. Everyone else is extremely happy, especially those who viewers from our actual world. All the viewers who like the red team, they're going to be really happy with this video because the red team finally did something after a very very long time. Either way, we have I don't know, I didn't color this in. We're just gonna do that really fast. Yep. So yeah, the Nordic Union also grew, and then France is one puppeted by the Kiev Rus now, but also has lost a lot of stuff. Greece no longer exists. These guys, they're their own thing. Moroccans actually do apply for membership and are accepted by the Blue Team's alliance, who is shaping up to be a new world order. But currently, the world order is led by the Kievan Rus, who which is basically because they're like the British who were involved in everything. The British have shut up mostly now because of the fact that they literally can't do anything. They were not very happy with this peace treaty. These guys, they actually joined the they're very close to the blue team. They don't join the alliance because again they really don't want relations with anyone but the blue team and the Americans and these Aztecs. Oh, okay, in Colombia they also lost a bunch of stuff. These guys were liberated. They're no longer puppets of the British, and as you can see, the Gold Coast colonies grew. Blue team's colonies grew by a lot. Yeah, here's one more look at this map. That would be pretty much everything. But we do have one more thing. The British, kind of annoyed by how this went, declare war on the Kievan Rus to get some of their colonies back. However, almost immediately a landing is made and London is captured. And as the Kievan Rus hold this, the British finally realize that their world order has come to an end. With the